Hi, my name is Joy, and today I'm going to talk to you about the Great Conjunction, which is Saturn conjunct Jupiter at 0 degrees Aquarius. And this is exact, meaning at the exact same degree and minute, even on December 21st, 2020. And I actually have this conjunction in my birth chart, except it's in Libra, and it's actually going to be trining the conjunction in Aquarius on the 21st. So that's kind of interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that unfolds. But in any case, I would like to talk to you today about what it means to have Saturn conjunct Jupiter in transit and how that's going to like energetically impact us. Now, obviously, it's going to depend a lot on your own chart. So I'm speaking just kind of like in general, like the energy in the collective at the time of the conjunction and for a little bit following the conjunction. So when Saturn is conjunct Jupiter, it's two very, very dissimilar energies. It's like, Saturn is restrictive and it's all about responsibility, holding back, maturity, um, delays, making sure that you get the timing right. And Jupiter is just expansive, optimistic, um, there's this like joviality with Jupiter, and there's this like seriousness, like almost like a taciturn, um, like energy with Saturn, like the like super serious school principal or something like that. And with Jupiter, it's like this like generous, jovial, like expansive energy. And with Jupiter, there's also a focus on like the big picture. With Saturn, there's a focus on concrete details and structure. Saturn's very big on structure. Jupiter, not so much. Um, Jupiter likes freedom. It's just like too expansive and like optimistic to be contained by these concerns that Saturn has. So when you put these two energies together, it's a very unusual combination of energies. And what happens is, well, there's a number of ways it can manifest. So one of them is this grounded optimism. So there's the big picture idea that the big picture focus that Jupiter has, in this like willingness to take risks, because that with Jupiter there's this like faith in the universe, um, or just like faith in general, that it's going to be okay, like. And Saturn's like, ooh, stuff could go wrong. So there's this like willingness to take risks, but it's calculated risks because Saturn is there too. So it's calculated risks, grounded optimism, and there can be this tendency to have like bad luck and good luck at the same time as well. So it's like, um, Saturn comes along and like says, nope, that's not going to work, bad luck. And Jupiter's like, but the silver lining here is, and, there can be like a lucky break that makes a situation that could have been really bad like not quite as bad. Or alternatively, there can be this big lucky break, but then like, I kind of hate to use this example, but like, let's say you win a car, but you can't afford to pay the taxes on the car, so you have to sell the car, and like just to pay for the like lottery tax on winning it, as an example. So um, so there can be like this combination of bad luck and good luck, and that car example is a little bit extreme. Like it's not usually like the restrictions or like hard lessons that come from Saturn don't usually just completely negate the benefit, whatever benefits Jupiter is bringing. It's usually like more balanced. And one of the things that can result in this is that like Saturn is like hard lessons and experiences that teach us wisdom, and Jupiter is like always looking at like the big picture of everything, and wants to know like the truth of everything. So one of the tendencies is to like look for the lesson, um and like the spiritual truth, or like the like meaning of life and like how life works in like every like negative, or like not, I don't want to say negative, but like every difficult situation that's encountered. So that's one of the possible manifestations of this conjunction. And there can also be sort of a this like foolhardy, like Jupiter energy like thinks it's invincible and has all the time in the world. So this is like, I think I'm gonna, travel the world and just like live abroad for a while. And I kind of feel like studying uh Egypt for a while, just like as an example. So like, I'm going to do a semester of majoring in just like studying Egypt. Would that be like Egyptology? I don't know. Um, uh, like ancient Egypt in particular. So like there's this expansiveness that doesn't necessarily take like limitations into consideration, like you only have so many years in your life, and like you're gonna need to pay for your education, and there's expenses, and opportunity costs, and that sort of thing involved. So when Jupiter and Saturn are combined, there's this, well, okay, when they're not combined. So like Jupiter like thinks it's invincible and has all the time in the world, and Saturn is like, the Lord of time. And understanding that we do not have all the time in the world. We actually only have 24 hours in a day, and we're only going to live for, like 80, 90, 100 years. Probably we don't even actually know how long we get. So and like every single decision we make has many opportunity costs for other decisions that we could have made. So there's this like seriousness and responsibility, and looking at the cost and the benefit, and just a little bit of optimization maybe. So when you combine the two, there's like um, the drive to go ahead and take risks, but Saturn is there to like help look at like how realistic it actually is, and um, how like how much you actually like want to do it for the opportunity cost involved. So like Saturn by itself like tends to just like hold us back, at least until we um, when Saturn's mature, Saturn actually becomes this wonderful foundation for success, because there's a lot of wisdom from the experience that comes with a Saturn placement. However, before you get to that point, it's just like holding yourself back, like fear-based programming, and like learned helplessness, and like, oh man, I've been there before, I don't want to go through that again, kind of a thing, right? So there's some negation to that, like holding yourself back kind of tendency with Saturn when Jupiter is there, because it's like, yeah, I've had this like bad situation in the past, but it's different this time. And just because it went like that before doesn't mean it's going to go like that again. So there's this tendency to like go ahead and push forward in whatever area it is, but to be kind of smart about how you do it. So Jupiter kind of softens the like restrictiveness of Saturn when it's with Saturn. And when you have okay, so when you have this in transit, what can happen is if you're willing to incorporate both energies in whatever you're doing, you can, really give yourself a good foundation for success in a specific area. You can um, move forward with things and do it in a smart way. But if you're like, well, I don't like the way Saturn feels, I'm just going to focus on Jupiter or get carried away with Jupiter because, like I said, that energy is expansive and, it feels good. Jupiter energy feels good to a lot of people. Um, so when we're doing that, if we're ignoring Saturn, Saturn's going to be right there to like rub those hard lessons and that, the reality uh, right in our face if we are just trying not to look at that. But because it's right there, it's a lot easier, I think, to look at it than it usually would be. So just go ahead and embrace both energies and use the little boost that you get from Jupiter to get started on something. If it feels right to you, obviously do whatever feels right to you. um, and it, but make use of Saturn to be realistic and like smart about how you go about it, and use the energy of like structure and follow through to set yourself up for success as you continue into the future with whatever it is you're trying to do. So this can be a very good time to start projects. um, Now, you can look at exactly how it's aspecting stuff in your chart to see like what types of um, what types of themes you're going to see like energetically play out for you. So like, if it's trine your Venus, maybe the way you deal with relationships is going to be, there's like, so wisdom is very much a key word when it comes to Saturn, but there's like a certain type of wisdom that can come with Jupiter, and it's more like a not like street smarts kind of wisdom or like wisdom about how to deal with a situation, but sort of like wisdom about life, um, like a spiritual almost kind of wisdom. Um, so like when you combine the two, there's this opportunity for like a lot of wisdom and like insightfulness about whatever the situation is. So you can use that energy too to um, like any aspects that you have in your chart. Now, if it's a hard aspect, um, this can be a good time to explore whatever planet is dealing with that hard aspect with these energies. Um, and that's good too. So another thing to look at obviously is the house, like what house does it fall in for you. That's an area of life that's going to be impacted for you. And we can also take a look at the transits, like the other planets in transit. I will note three particular planets, in fact. So this conjunction is squaring Uranus. These are wide squares, but it's squaring Uranus and Mars. And that could prove interesting. And there's also a wide conjunction to Pluto, also could be interesting. So we, as a collective, could see some interesting world events that day. That's a thing that could happen. I'm not going to speculate about what right now, or possibly ever. It's just both Pluto and Uranus can be pretty destabilizing, and they're both in Earth signs, so they are being destabilizing of like practical things in our world, and like systems and structures, and like the way we like live our lives, like in a practical or physical way. Like there's impact on our material conditions, and then Mars is in Aries. So these could all be interesting aspects. I will also add that I think that everybody's focusing on the 21st specifically because that's like the day that it's exact, but they're going to be conjunct for a while before and after that, just not exact. And I will say that as they continue to progress through Aquarius and move out of the conjunction with Pluto, I think that's when it's really going to lighten up for us. Like once Saturn and Jupiter like finally no longer conjunct Pluto, like I think I think the energies could be less heavy than they've been like for a while. um, and like I said, they'll still be conjunct even if they're not exact. So all of those themes with Jupiter and Saturn being conjunct are still going to be playing out. I will add, however, that Jupiter moves faster than Saturn, so you're going to get that blast of that expansive, nothing can go wrong kind of energy. And then not too long after that, Saturn comes in, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, the reality of the whatever it is I'm trying to do is actually like a lot less like easy seeming than whatever it seemed like when it was just Jupiter in that aspect to whatever it is. So I would say that if you're aware of this, you can use that Jupiter aspect time to like develop the ideas, make the connections, to like explore just the whole thing, and maybe even get started on it. And then when Saturn comes around, you can use that, like know that it's coming, and use that Saturn energy to like really fine tune, to have follow through, and to like make sure that you're being responsible about however you do whatever it is you're going to do. And so this applies not just to the aspects in your chart, actually, but also transiting aspects too. So that's one possibility. The other possibility is that you feel invincible when you're dealing with Jupiter and like do some dumb stuff, and then Saturn comes around shortly after to just like wreck you. So I think it's good to be aware of that the Saturn energy is going to be trailing behind the Jupiter energy as it like makes aspects that touch different things in both your chart and in the other transiting planets and houses, or like in your house, whatever house it is. So yeah, I think that's about it. Yep. That's all I'm going to say for now. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think.